This is Mortgage Lending Mastery. Get the knowledge you need from America's mortgage mentor with more than 35 years of experience and over $1 billion in lifetime fundings. You'll learn to advance your mortgage practice quickly and efficiently. Also, be sure to check out Jen's book, Launch: How to Take Your Business to New Heights, available on Amazon. For a signed copy, contact Jen at jenduplessis.com. Now, here is certified mortgage planner and CEO of Kinetic Spark Consulting, Jen Duplessis.
Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Mortgage Lending Mastery. I'm your host, Jen Duplessis, and I am so excited that you joined us today because my special guest is Blake Bogese. Good Lord. I ask him, go back to a bunch of my podcasts and you'll find that I ask people how to pronounce it and then I can't pronounce it when I do it. It's just crazy. I probably shouldn't do it. But anyway, Bogese, Blake Bogese. We will have his contact information in the show notes so that you won't mess it up since I messed it up. So Blake, I'm so excited to have you on the show today. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, happy to have you. So let me tell you how we met. We were both at Mile High Mastermind in, was it September? I think I was on.
Yep, September.
And I was getting sick at the end of that. So that's why I can't remember exactly when it was. But we were both attending Mile High Mastermind in Denver. And I don't know, did you speak? I can't remember. Maybe you spoke after I left because I left.
No, I didn't speak. I was just a guest of Adam's.
Yep.
So yeah, I was just there.
Yeah. And so anyway, so I was speaking and we got to chatting, in one of the breaks. And I said, gosh, Blake, I really want to have you on the show. And so one of the reasons, so let me tell you a little bit about Blake, and then you can just tell us more about yourself. But he's a UVA grad, which is, for those of you who don't know what UVA is, it's the University of Virginia. In Richmond, it was founded by one of our founding fathers, which was, I can't remember his name. How come I just had a brain fade on this?
Thomas Jefferson.
Thomas Jefferson, for goodness sake. I know this because I sent my money there for my son. And so I love that. I love, UVA is just a very, very nice school. And he's been in the lending business for just 3 years, but there's a story behind all this that he's going to share with you. And I wanted to bring him on to talk about one of his niches that he has in the business. And we'll talk about all kinds of things as well. But Blake, why don't you share with us a little bit about your history? Because if I can real quick before you do that, I recall telling you to tell people that you've been in the business for 32 years from the womb. Right? Because that's what my son used to say. I'm in the business however old I was, I've been or how old he is. I've been in the business for 27 years from the womb because he has always been in the business. So share with us a little bit about your history and your family and how you got into the business, and we'll go from there.
Sure. Yeah. So native of Virginia, Richmond area, more or less. And like you said, growing up, my dad has been in real estate. He was more on the building development side, real estate side. And in the, early mid 2000s, my mother, she had a career change. The company she worked for a while moved to Florida. And then there's a period of time she didn't work. And then she found mortgages, and my aunt was in the business and a cousin was in the business. And she started working with them in the mid 2000s and kind of really rode the wave, very big up. And I was in college at the time when everything crashed. So, mortgages weren't a thing you were going to get into in that industry. And really, it was just tough kind of sledding for everybody. Graduated in 2009 and found a local job in Richmond that was a good opportunity, but it wasn't really what UVA had trained us for, which was like big high-end finance, consulting jobs. And that took me to Houston, Texas. I had a cousin who was trading energy down there for a big hedge fund, and there was a broker shop that was basically kind of old school, matching electricity and natural gas deals up over the phone and over instant message. And that was a interesting career in that it really allowed me to really develop the customer service skills, the relationships, the account management, and then it taught me how to be fast. Speed solved everything in that business, and speed mattered. And you're only as fast as you could type and email and talk. I did that for a couple of years, but grew tired of being in Texas, and the family's in Virginia, and my wife was from this area. And so I sat down one day and I had a coach down there, and I started making a list of what could I do in Virginia that would be what I wanted to do in my field and what interests me. And the number one thing was like mortgage lender. back with my mom. So
Yeah.
we had some details, and I came back and started that in 2016. So I started working with my mom in the mortgage business in September 15th, 2016. I closed my first deal. I remember it. It was like $80,000, and I couldn't be more ecstatic.
Right.
And it was a VA loan that somebody else had messed up, and it came to us through the listing agent. And so that's been my career in the business, and that's how I kind of got here. Knowing what I know now, I wish I would have got into it in 2009 or 10, right when I graduated college, and had, you know, kind of ridden that wave when mortgages weren't nearly as popular, and it was a tough industry then. But in that time, in the 3 years I've done this, I've really grown to learn the business. I feel like it's a career for myself now. It's not really a job that I've had in the past.
Right.
And I've had a lot of success kind of really being focused on just one or two things that I wanted to be good at. Everybody can do everything in this business. We all have a lot of products. We all have, you know, great rates. We all have them, whatever. And so I wanted to be very specific on a couple of things. And like with the real estate agents I work with, I wanted to go really deep in those relationships. That's how my business was in Texas. I don't want to necessarily work with 50 people and only know them a little well. I want to have 5 people that are my friends.
Yeah.
That are realtor referral partners. And I've had some of those kind of channel accounts that aren't realtors as well, financial planners, corporate bankers, lawyers, and they're your friends that also have business relationships. And then I wanted to be known in our marketplace for VA loans. So I got in, kind of had that first taste. My mom had always done a lot of VA loans, and I had one. I'm like, man, this is a great industry. And I really started researching a lot about VA loans. And I found some groups on Facebook, and I became a certified instructor with an organization, and I started teaching classes, and sort of perception became reality. I told everybody, you know, that this is what I wanted to do, and I started hosting, and the next thing you know, I started getting a lot more VA referrals, and that business has really blossomed for me. So that's been a huge focus of mine.
Love that. Yeah, I love that. And, you know, and the profit margins are really good for the company, right? I mean, unless you're acting as a broker. So now, are you a broker? Or are you a correspondent?
Yeah, I'm a broker now.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a broker now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the broker world is completely different. So that's something new for me. When I was with my mom, we were in a retail operation, and you know, I never really thought about that necessarily. Now I know a lot more than I did then, but that wasn't really any reason behind it. But yeah.
Yeah, I know. Well, I used to own my own company for many years, you know, and I was a broker, and I absolutely loved it. And thankfully I got out before the crunch, not knowing the crunch was coming. It was a whole different reason that I got out. But, you know, and I think what's really great, you know, for you is that year to date, you're doing really, really well for someone who's been in the business for 3 years. I mean, that's, you know, comparative, and quite frankly, even better than some people who've been in the business for a long time. You're doing really, really well. So congratulations on that. So let's talk about your niche. Let's go a little bit deeper into not VA loans, because obviously those that are listening know about VA loans. And we don't need to know about that. But why did you decide to go into a niche when so many people, and I would say, you know, so many new people in the industry try to get every kind of deal that they possibly can. You know, they just want a living, breathing deal, good, bad, and ugly. They want it. They want the opportunity to take a shot at it. It seems just very different that someone who's brand new in the business decides to take on a niche that quickly. And I love that you did, because I believe in niching to grow rich. I believe in niches. I had niches when I was a lender. And one of them was VA. But, you know, what made you decide to take on a niche, given the competition that's out there right now?
Yeah, no, that's very interesting. I don't think I necessarily decided that was going to be the beginning. I'm still taking, you know, deals that aren't VA, of course.
Yeah.
But when I found some people on Facebook, honestly, they're in the mortgage business, and they all kind of came through some digital advertisers that, you know, had used the right keyword search and got us all into a certain place. And I would have these nights where you can't sleep and you're in a new business, you're not really making any money. And I've been commission only since 2012. So I had rode the wave, but, you know, you're sitting there thinking, and I would get on these Facebook groups and I start scrolling, and there's so much information about not just guidelines, which most loan officers do a terrible job of understanding themselves. So not just guidelines, but like how to run the business, how to market, how to sales talk, you know, all of these things. I started consuming so much information that I was like, there's no way I could ever be the expert on all of these things.
Right.
And I didn't think in the, and so I didn't think that the 800 credit score conventional borrower that had a ton of options, and I thought I was in a place that I wasn't really sure if my rates were the best. I lost a couple of those customers in the very beginning that, I'd already kind of thought of my commission check, and then they shot me at the end and I lose the deal. I didn't think I didn't want to be my niche there. And I didn't want to be the first time home buyer guy. And I started to really think deeply about what would you do. And I listened to, some podcast or YouTube video that talked about like, who is your perfect customer and what's your perfect customer's perfect day look like? And I started thinking about that. And it was the, 38-year-old active duty guy who got PCS to Fort Lee, who's in my, local town. And he's retiring and he wants to keep his family here. I'm like, that's my perfect customer. And I started to research the VA market and realized Virginia has the 4th highest number of veterans of all states. 1 out of 8 people over the age of 18 in the state of Virginia is a veteran or active duty. We have like over 100,000 women veterans in the state. So like you start looking at the demographics of where you are, and you're like, I think this is where I could be very successful in it. And then I started getting these deals. I started noticing the deals coming through the office that are turned down from other big companies or big VA mortgage companies. And you're like, there's a huge niche where people are doing a really bad job. Yeah. And we can just do a decent job and we'll be so much better than everybody else. If we do a great job, we're going to blow the lid off the thing. And it happened to be VA loans. So it kind of came about a little organically through my thought process, but I got there pretty quick. Like it didn't take me long to realize this. It was like a couple of months. And I'm like, okay, I'm all in.
And so you kind of organically got there. Do you have veterans in your family that now,
Yeah, both. No, not in my immediate family, but grandfathers certainly were. Yeah. My community, all of the kids that were from the local fort base actually went to my high school. Yeah. So I played a ton of sports, and all those kids would be playing sports, and then they would go to Huntsville, or they would come from Germany. So you always had these, families that are always around you. And so I guess it was just sort of a natural thing, but no, not in my family.
Yeah. So let me ask you about your, you being in that specific niche, because I want to kind of highlight something here, having had this as my niche as well. Ironically, what's interesting about my particular niche in VA, it was jumbo and super jumbo VA, because I did a lot of congressmen and senators and people at the Pentagon. And I got tapped in and away I went with it. Right. And so there was a lot of, partial entitlement, double entitlement, things like that, that a lot of loan officers don't know. They think you have to have it all or nothing. And I don't want to go into product details or anything like that. But, one of the things I do know, I guess I want to ask you, I'm kind of leading you down a path, so I don't want to lead you down a path. I want to see if you're doing this, but I don't want to really ask you if you're doing this. So, inside of VA itself, those types of loans is, what kind of niche are you working inside of VA is I guess what I'm asking is because I worked at a company, mortgage company, a division of a bank, and we couldn't do a VA loan less than a 640 credit score, period. Yeah. So that might be one of the reasons why you think, some other lenders can't get it done is that's just what the bank's overrides are. So what niche are you finding that is really separating you from everybody else when it comes to VA?
I mean, I don't, it's not really a particular niche in terms of, I would say I'm not in the jumbo market at all. Credit score requirements, I would say that I'm a 600, 620 above. It really depends on the complete picture. Now that I'm in the broker world, I think that I have a little bit more options. I want to say that's really the field that I play in. But it really, all the niches they're really just normal people buying and selling houses, and they're just happen to be veterans in the VA loan. They've been told it's not a great loan product, or the loan company they've gotten hooked up with the realtor is not. Like you said, maybe they're not well versed, but what I see a ton is that veterans are very heavily advertised to these big companies out there that they have their car insurance through or car notes or they bank with.
Yeah.
And my niche is being a real life person that they can meet or we can video, and I'm not a call center.
Right.
And I will tell you that I've read the 26-7. I mean, that doesn't mean I have everything memorized, but I've read it. I know what we should be doing, and I understand that it's a different loan product than FHA, and I think a lot of people just lump stuff together. So I think it's just being that human person and knowing the guidelines. That's the niche. It's not, for me, I'm not in that jumbo market. It's a lot of first-time home buyers. We do have people that are active duty, and they're using their bonus entitlement because they own a house, somewhere else as a starter home. So yeah, it's educating the clients and the real estate agents, honestly, the niche.
So let's talk about the real estate agent, because, there's still, I can tell you, 30 years ago, this was a problem with realtors going, oh, it's a VA contract. The appraiser is going to be a pain in the butt. They're so picky. They're so this, they're so that. So how have you learned to work around that or work with that or educate people right from the get-go so that you get more opportunities and your clients get more opportunities when they're making offers?
Well, yeah. So I first started the business and I did like everybody else, and I added like 1,000 real estate agents to my Facebook friend list, why not? And I started doing videos on Facebook about myths, 30-second, 1 minute myths about how
mortgage myths.
The VA doesn't have. Yeah. So just started knocking those out. And this was my first year of the business. And so they were terrible quality and I don't know, but they were something. And so I was putting that out there, and I finally got enough courage to host my first event and had like 40 or 50 real estate agents come to a 2-hour lunch and learn where we talked about all those myths in detail and had a PowerPoint slide and shaking in my boots because I had no idea what I was talking about. I had my mom in the background to hey, if they ask me a question, I don't know, dive in.
Right.
But that was the big thing. And what we really found is that real estate agents don't go to a school to teach you everything. All of their education and knowledge is coming from past experiences. And every real estate transaction has a different house, a different seller, a different buyer, different loan products. And there's 1,000 variables that could make that experience be great or make it not great. And I don't know if everybody really knows exactly what those are, but if I hit them with the facts about exactly the process and exactly how it's handled and why this is not worse, I have found that they want to listen. They want to be educated, and they go, okay, that's how it used to be, but now Blake's the expert. So I get tagged on Facebook all the time to ask VA questions. I get random calls from listing agents. And so, yeah, it's kind of just a little bit of word of mouth have taken off. And there's 5,000 real estate agents in Richmond. I love to talk to all of them, but, you just are trying to hit as many as you can. And Facebook's been great for sure.
Yeah, I love that. I love, and we have a lot of reasons why we could be doing videos every day, a daily digital deep dive, right? Where we're going online and talking about a lot of things. I love that you focused on myths in the transaction, that are not so much myths that are for clients, but myths for realtors to understand, because, so many of it. And, I always know when a realtor says, well, VA is fussy about whatever, I know that they either haven't done a lot of deals, period, or they haven't done a lot of VA, right? And so they're just going back off in that history of what they're doing. Okay, so let's talk about you said that you're working a lot with financial planners and attorneys and things like that. How did you go into that particular market, and where does the niche of VA play in there, or does it play in there? Is that just a secondary niche, or not even a niche, but just a secondary revenue?
Yeah, I think it's sort of just secondary. I think I make it pretty well known with all my groups of friends and relationships that VA is what I'm known for. So that is always in the back of people's minds. Mm-hmm. I have done a really good job of getting deep with my clients, and we don't just talk about the rates or the fees of this transaction. First-time home buyer, we might just have a very more basic conversation, but as I progressed my business and I worked with more sellers, first-time home sellers who have options, what I found is that a lot of people aren't asked that question. They think they need to have $1 million in the bank to get a financial advisor. And so they have an IRA or they have a 401k, but they don't have someone they're talking to. They just have maybe a parent, maybe a friend. And I'm able to ask some questions that I know from my background and from the people that I've, associated myself with that are thinking this way. And it's, basic questions. And we start asking those things and undercovering, should we put more money down, or should we, maybe put less money down and pay this off, or how are we saving appropriately, or what does this do for our cash flow? And we start looking at a holistic picture. And I tell you, if I can get to people to have that conversation with me, those people, I don't ever lose them. They're not shopping me at the end. They are not, I'm an advisor to them at that point. I am not just an advocate of their well-being, their financial well-being. And if you run the numbers about home appreciation in Richmond, Virginia versus renting,
right,
I tell you that this is why people build wealth, is owning a home, and that makes sense. And so I have those same conversations with the financial planner, right? So it's like, hey, I'm already talking about this. I don't want to do your job. I don't know it like you do. But if I get people like that, or you have somebody like that, and we can have a deeper conversation, I'm going to take care of them. And honestly, I have not been getting leads from passing out referrals. I've done a terrible job of taking my personal clients and giving them to financial planners. But it's just talking to a handful of people that I know that have a good clientele base, and just telling them my story and why. And nobody else is really approaching them. So I'm not doing seminars, but just a handful of people that I've known previously or had coffees with, and say, hey, so you catch those refinances, you catch divorces, you catch big life events that the financial planner doesn't know about.
Because they don't call enough. Or your insurance agent, whom I was just on the phone with a few months ago. We were catching up from like 5 years ago, and I was thinking, and I have been all the time thinking in the back of my mind, he never calls. He sends, the stupid birthday thing, right? That it isn't even him signing it. And, but he's not really nurturing his database. He's neglecting us, and, he got the insurance policy, and now it just kind of sits there. And so I love that you're doing that. And I love that you're doing that sooner rather than later, because when I was practicing, 33% of my business came from financial planners and divorce attorneys. And the rest of it came from other, like realtors.
Yeah.
Like realtors.
I mean,
right? And clients.
I would agree. So financial planners, divorce attorneys, CPAs, they're thinking of a client with a long-term basis as a relationship. Unfortunately, a lot of real estate agents, because of the nature of the business, is so transactional. And working with those, financial planners, you think relationship too. You don't think transaction. So it's a mindset for the long term. I'm not saying we don't want transactions. I want to do 15 deals every month. That's my number that I would love to hit right now. But I want to think about, how is this client the client for life? I don't want to have to win them back again in 5 years, and because they've never heard from me. Right,
because they never heard from no, and I love that. And I love that you're already taking that on, early on in your career, because I think that's something that a lot of people have missed in this particular go-round of refinance booms. As everybody's excited because they're getting a lot of business because it's a
same, guilty too.
Happy about it. It's that short-term gain for the long-term pain, because if if you only do well because the market does well, that's not good, right? You want to do well all the time. And think about how much money is left on the table by not nurturing your database and actually having them call you all the time, or you pick, thankfully, maybe some of them called you, but where are the rest of them, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So I want to ask you about what's coming up for you in 2020. What does it look like for you? What kind of changes are you making in your business? Or switches, or, what are you trying to do in 2020? What is going on there?
Just hired a assistant.
Congratulations.
So marketing / loan officer / I gave them your team checklist, and I said, hey, this is all between us right now. So everything is us. So it's a lot. So it's a new person. So working with that, I've been working out of the house. So I have an office I just signed a lease on, and hiring my own processors, not using a corporate or, company processor. So hiring a processor. So I have a lot of change, really thinking about how I can be a great leader and delegate and be able to grow my business. That's not just me hustling. I love to hustle. I really do. I love winning. I like that every phone call, gets me jacked up, but being able to sustain this business for a long term and not get burnt out, or not, want to kill yourself when you lose a deal. Right. You have to build a team, and you have to have something that's greater than just that. So that's kind of my big focus on 2020. I really want to build that up and be able to focus on the marketing and prospecting in a pipeline at the top to then grow the business. I need support behind me. So that's kind of the big change for me.
That's good.
Going forward.
Well, and it's great because you have the background, having gone to the School, the Commerce School of Commerce, which is at UVA, which is the business school there. And that really helps too, because, it puts you in a really good situation, right out of the gate. I mean, I've learned probably more than you have. I'm going to say that. Probably learned more than you have at School, but it took me 35 years, not 4.
Yeah.
Right. Or 2 years at School. Right. And, so being able to be a real advisor to people is key and critical. And I'm sure that you've seen that with your family as well. Okay. So tell me about a growth hack. So you're going to grow your business next year, or somebody's listening and they want to grow their business. Give us a hack. Give us a hack on some type of growth or something you do that you haven't talked about today yet.
Growth hack. I think that we have talked about a little bit. I think the video is like just staring us all in the face that is the easiest way to get in front of more people at a quicker time period.
Yeah.
My other growth hack for me is organization, 100%, in that I have to have a checklist and a process. 6 months ago, I took every application on a piece of paper that went into a file cabinet, and then I had to find that piece of paper and type it in. So I'm not doing that anymore, but I know that I have leaps and bounds to do in that. So those are going to be the two kind of things that I think are going to be the biggest bang for my time and money, are going to be getting more videos done, but just because of the masses it can hit. And also in that regard, the bomb videos to clients so that I can talk to them and they can see my face, but we physically don't have to meet somewhere. And I am like hyper focused on organization, and it's hard for me because that's not who I am, but I know that that's where I have to focus right now.
Yeah, I love that. And this is a perfect time of the year. While we're recording this, it's the 1st of November in 2019, and it's a perfect time to be considering, getting organized. So by the time that this podcast is released, we'll already be in the first part of the year. And if you didn't get organized, you want to get organized, right?
Well, I think you talked about the refinance boom. And so I've had my fair share in June. I mean, I hit my whole entire database and the people that raised their hands and the opportunities, I took them. But when I look at my yearly goals, I've already hit my yearly goals because of the refinances, and I feel that I saved some money. So I'm okay if I can invest some back in the business right now. Is how I feel. I don't need to go buy a new watch or car or shoes or like a new house. I'm going to take this money that I probably shouldn't have because rates should be higher, and try to use that as like the gasoline to dump on my business. And so I just see it as a blessing that we can,
I absolutely love that. And, it's funny because I'm asked quite often on podcasts when I'm a guest, what advice would you give to yourself as a younger person? And the advice would be save, save, save. That's the advice. We have a tendency, because we make so much money in this business, that when we have the money, we spend, we get the fancy this and the fancy that. And I love that you have your values in play. Exactly what is going to work for you and your family. And, that's going to take you a really long way. And it's great that you're putting it back into your company and into your practice, so that you can continue to grow. Okay. So let me ask, as we're finishing up here today, what is your favorite quote or a book that you are reading now or that you have read that you would like to share with everyone that you feel would be beneficial for them, either in personal or professional growth?
So I'm not military, but obviously I've been on a ton of VA loans, and I just read Jocko Willemick's Extreme Ownership book, and he's like this gung-ho former Navy SEAL, and
what is it called?
It's called Extreme Ownership.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, and basically at the end of the day, it doesn't matter where you are in the chain of command or where you are in the process of life, that everyone takes extreme ownership of why things aren't correct. And that's how it works. Things are going to be a lot better. So there's no blaming anybody else. You kind of point at yourself first. And not that I didn't do that, but it's like you take it to the next level. You're like, hey, I'm not happy in my current situation. That's on me. I don't like where I am right now. That's on me. not doing anything is still a decision you're making. So even if you don't take any action, because that's still an action. That was big for me. I read a long time ago the Rich Dad Poor Dad, like everybody else, book about how you invest in assets. And so that book makes you think about how you need to buy rental properties right away, which was a great strategy for long-term wealth as an asset. And I could never get there. I didn't want to put my money in the market, didn't have a lot saved up. I kind of hit me this past year that my greatest asset is my business. And so that's kind of back to my other thing. Like, this is an asset that I can own that's bigger than me than just hustling. And so let's figure out how to make it into the business, not just, Blake's calling a lot of real estate agents so he gets leads today.
Yeah. And it truly is. And that's a transformation that I'm hearing and seeing with everybody, at all the conferences I'm at and all the calls I'm on. It's a transformation that we're seeing is, the transformation that we've had over the last several years because of TRID and, all the messiness of all the compliances that loan officers need to be loan officers. Everybody needs an assistant. Let them do sales so that someone else can do something. But now it's transferred into and starting to transform into, how do I be a better leader? How do I be a better business owner? And not just through attrition that I just happen to be the lead of a team, right? And so I'm excited about that because, for years and years, I was a manager and a corporate trainer for a major and national mortgage company on this very topic. So I'm really excited about that because, it really bothers me that there's so many people that don't have any leadership or management skills and yet they're leaders. And anyway, so it's just, it's one thing that I'm excited, to see us transfer to. So thank you for sharing the book. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate your time today. It's been great getting to know you a little bit better. And again, I love having people on that, are sharing something that they're doing that's unique and different. And, if you're listening in and you're saying, hey, maybe that's something I could do, or maybe I still haven't bought onto this whole niching opportunity. This could be a great example, the catalyst that makes you go in that direction that says, what, maybe I do need to be an expert in one area instead of trying to be an expert in a multitude of areas and not getting any business as a result of it. So thank you again, Blake, for joining us today. I really appreciate it. I hope you had a good time. And
I did. Thank you so much.
Yeah. And thanks for sharing your story. And for those of you listening, again, please be sure to rate us, give us a 5-star rating. Please be sure to write a review for us so that we can continue to grow. And I hope you make it a fantastic week, and we'll talk to you next time on Mortgage Lending Mastery.
Thank you for listening to Mortgage Lending Mastery. Looking to streamline and launch your practice by accessing Jen's tools, courses, classes, presentations, and resources? Visit jenduplessis.com to learn about the features and benefits thousands of other professionals have experienced by enrolling in Jen's lifetime membership program. Isn't it about time you consider a coach to take your business to new heights? Contact Jen to start your application process today. Thanks again, and be sure to tune in next week.